Hello, everyone. I am here today with Dean Baker and
Senior economist at the Center for Economic and Policy Research in Washington, D.C.
so today I'm going to basically be talking with him about what is the opportunity cost of this Iran war that is happening currently. Uh, so Pete Hegseth was recently in a Senate hearing where he basically stated that $37.5 billion have already gone into this Iran war. From an economist perspective, what is the opportunity cost of that spending and what could have achieved if invested in healthcare, housing, or SNAP instead?
37.5 billion isn't huge in the context of our budget, in the context of our economy, but it's still very large relative to a lot of topics that have been a big issue in public debate here. In particular, last fall, in fact, we had a government shutdown over extending 30 billion in healthcare subsidies for people in our healthcare exchanges set up by President Obama. That affects about 30 million people. Many of those are going to lose healthcare coverage. So that was less than the 37.5 billion. We've had other debates. We just got rid of our main aid program. That was about 30 billion, likely cost millions of lives in the developing world. So this is large relative to a lot of things that have been a big topic for debate. But what I think is really important is this is really just a down payment. The Trump administration, they just in fact passed a budget of 1.15 billion for the military. That's up from 900 billion when President Trump took office. So that's a $250 billion increase. He's going to ask for 1.5 trillion, a $600 billion increase from when he took office for the next fiscal year that starts in October. These are very, very large sums. And we know that this administration has not been especially honest about the cost of the war. So the one thing we could say with absolute certainty, it's going to be higher.
With nearly 750,000 experiencing homelessness, millions relying on SNAP, and continued debate over healthcare reform, does America's current balance between defense and domestic spending reflect sound economic priorities or not?
Well, it's hard to see how this really makes a lot of sense. So if you compare the United States to other wealthy countries, Germany, France, Australia, Canada, whoever you like, we're almost always at the very bottom in a wide range of statistics, most obviously in life expectancy. It's kind of remarkable. We're ostensibly the richest or near the richest in per capita income, but we come near the bottom among the wealthy countries in terms of life expectancy. But a range of measures, education, we're really falling behind. And certainly there's a growing gap between the wealthy or even upper middle class and, say, moderate, low income people in terms of both life outcomes, life expectancy, huge gaps, but also income, educational outcomes. So the idea that we should just spend more and more on the military to the neglect of the needs of much of the population, to my view, is very wrong-headed. And we do pay a price for it because businesses complain they don't have adequately trained workers. It's a real issue. And we're not getting those if we spend more on the military.
So, finally, supporters see defense spending as essential for security, while critics argue greater investment in healthcare, food security, and housing would deliver stronger long term returns. Based on that evidence, where does the US get the greatest return on public investment?
Well, the question about security is a really important one because we didn't feel the need, even President Trump didn't feel the need for the massive sort of increases in military spending he's now proposing. And I'm saying even President Trump because he was president before. He was president from 2017 to 2021. He never requested increased military spending like this. So part of the story is you have to ask, who do we need this for? I mean, Russia's an economy 1/5 the size of the US. Maybe China, but why is China an enemy? China doesn't have to be an enemy. So making China an enemy so we could spend endless amounts on the military doesn't seem like a smart thing to do. So when we create or imagine very serious security threats, that's a problem. But we have these huge unmet needs. Every other wealthy country has universal health care. We could provide that here. We've chosen not to. As a result, millions of people don't have care or have inadequate care, and our life expectancies are way below. If you look at some states, the poorest states like Louisiana, West Virginia, these are poor states in the country, their life expectancy is 72 years. There's many developing countries that have life expectancies longer than that. So this is really an outrage. So saying the best thing we could do is just spend a lot more money on the military, to my mind, that's really wrongheaded.
Would you like any final thoughts on this topic, or
Well, getting in a little bit of our, the politics in the U.S., there's been a big issue. The Trump administration has made a big issue of fraud in social welfare programs, and there's going to be some fraud. I mean, let's just be honest. You have tens of millions of people on Medicaid, on Medicare. The idea that there's no fraud in these programs, it's inconceivable. Now, most of it's actually by providers. So if you look at Medicaid, it's not that, I'm sure there's some people getting it who aren't qualified, but that's trivial. The issue is that you have providers that lie on the bills. But in any case, they've made a very, very big issue of fraud in these programs with the idea of attacking them. We're going to cut them. And also part of it, I should just be clear, it's clearly racist. So they're saying fraud, it's coded. It's a black person, or maybe a Hispanic brown person, whatever. I mean, it's clearly racist. I don't think anyone could dispute that. But if you want to look at fraud, the military budget is chock full of fraud. They have audits every year that they fail. So it's a little bit ironic that they're yelling that, someone might be getting Medicaid who isn't supposed to. So, that's $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 a year. But here you have literally billions in fraudulent payments to military contractors that they're doing their best to look the other way on.